Sorry, I'm allergic to shitty intros. What's up? Welcome back to Articulate with Steve McJones. Hey, what's up? It's me, it's your boy. How's it going? I am here this week with Brittany Anderson, yet another comic. But this week we dove into I think this is everybody's least favorite and favorite topic at the same time. Simulations, dude. Because simulations, it's a big rabbit hole. You get down and you realize that you're fake. What are you gonna do? You know what I mean? You're screwed. But Brittany's cool. Brittany's awesome. She's one of these people that, she's very social and she's very, at least to me, she seems very comfortable with herself and is cool talking to everybody and being, fully, she reads the room, and I don't know. Brittany's awesome, and she's definitely going to sound insane to you throughout this entire episode, so I hope you know that. But no, thanks again, Brittany, for doing anything other than just talking about comedy, because again, I always do appreciate the effort as well. So yeah, this is a fun one. It's a little long, so I won't keep you for too long. Anyways, hope you enjoyed, and have fun. Yeah, but you notice. But it's on now.
I see it. I see the time.
No, it's okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Brittany Anderson. Brandergram, dude, I gotta tell you, I love Brandergram.
Brandergram, it's so fun to say.
It's so much fun to say. I actually have, in your contact info, it's like the company that you work for is Brandergram. I don't know why.
I made it that because in college my nickname was Branderson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, Branderson. Yeah.
my name's mashed together.
It's almost like J-Lo, or like something cool like that.
Just a little bit longer.
Yeah. Anyways, so Brittany Anderson, we met in the comic scene. What was 2 Street was the first?
I think so. Yeah.
Probably.
Sounds about right.
And and we just kind of you drove me home one time from Raven, which was very much appreciated. Although you got like 15 tickets that night.
Oh. Yeah, I think I owe them still like $300.
I actually heard my roommate was telling me last night, he's like, dude, nobody pays those, and like they actually have a day in Philly where it's like 90% off of your tickets if you just go in, because they want people to just come in and pay them.
Yeah, Kyle Reagan is like, I'm never gonna pay. I was like, you're gonna get towed. I hear they put boots on people's cars sometimes if you have too many outstanding tickets, and then they can tow it and sell it.
Really?
So yeah, I don't really want to deal with that.
Yeah, fair enough.
I wrote an article roasting the PPA.
Yeah, I saw you. Well, that night that you got those tickets and took me home, you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna roast the shit out of these guys."
And I did.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's funny. So I mentioned, I was like, "Yeah, is there anything you would want to talk about besides comedy?" Because I've had so many comics come on here all the time. Yeah. And you were like, "Well, I would love to talk about the simulation theory."
It's my new favorite topic.
I love that. It's amazing. But before we get too into that, where did you grow up?
oh, it's boring. I grew up in Bucks County.
Bucks County.
Yeah, like Newtown, Yardley. Yeah, it's about 45 minutes from here.
Okay.
Not much happening there, although now a bunch of young people are moving there, which is weird. But when I grew up, it was all farmland and suburbs and a lot of white people. Nice. Which I didn't even realize when I was younger because, I mean, we'll have to get into this, but my dad acts like he's white. He's not, but... Yeah, anyway, so I thought, we just grew up in a very white place, and then I looked at the statistics one time, and it was like 92% white people. I was like, Jesus Christ, where did I grow up? Like, am I okay?
That's wild.
It's a long story.
Yeah, it seems like a whole thing, but yeah, anyways. But then, so how did you get into the, comic scene? Like, when did you start doing stand-up?
Yeah, my first time doing stand-up was I was living in Austin, Texas, 2016, right around the Trump election. Okay. Actually, I did an impression of Trump in my first set.
Awesome. How did that go?
I thought everyone was going to love it, but they were everyone was so awkward about it still, because... You
were also in Texas, so...
Exactly. I was in Texas. Well, I was in Austin, which luckily was, a blue city, but... Yeah, I did, I put my hair, and, some people laughed, but everyone was so tense about it. I was like, fuck you guys, let me have this. Yeah. I'm a black person living in Trump era. Let me do an impression of him. Jesus Christ. Right. So, yeah, that was, 5 years ago, which is crazy. But then I didn't do it for, a year and a half. I actually was just stalking myself on Instagram, and I saw my second one, and I meant to look at the date. But the second one I did was in Chicago. I wasn't living there. I was just visiting at the Annoyance. And then, I did it kind of intermittently, and I kind of was like, oh my God, this is so scary. I never want to do this again. And I was more in the improv scene, improv and sketch for a while. Yeah, all of this on top of my full-time job. I was never I'm going to quit, to do comedy. Right. And then I started solidly back up when I was living in Richmond in 2018, I want to say. Yeah, 2018 is when I started like hustling. And I took another long break during COVID, so probably 2 years solidly, two and a half of doing open mics and occasional showcases.
No, that's awesome though. What do you do for your main job, if you don't mind me asking?
So it's hard to explain it. I work in IT.
I love that. That's my favorite thing. I make people explain what's hard to explain.
I'm a product manager for a self-service analytics program for cybersecurity.
Wow.
So basically, at my company, anyone who wants to analyze their cybersecurity data, like hacking, viruses, how they respond, just everything cybersecurity related, they can use my program to make a dashboard so they can like log in and see, how many people tried to attack us today, how did we solve it, for all of cybersecurity. Yeah, so
but it does kind of relate because, like I said, we get into simulation, and probably a lot of what you're interested in is the programming part of the whole thing, right? And
I was thinking about that earlier.
Computer science part of the whole thing. So, I guess how did you get into that job specifically, or like how did you get on that trajectory to be in a job like that?
Yeah, so in college, I originally wanted to be a journalism and psychology major. Didn't pan out. And then my end of sophomore year of college, I was like, okay, what can I do that makes me money? And it's like not that hard to do, so I can kind of have a job and pursue other stuff outside of it. So I switched to IT, and it was actually really fun. I like it. It's a really fast-paced kind of environment where, things are always changing. People are excited about it. So I just kind of wanted to go somewhere that was exciting and had a lot of money. So, and then I interned for them between my junior and senior year, and then they actually give job offers like right before you start senior year, and I was like, sure, I'll go all senior year having a job. That's perfectly fine. So, I mean, not that I started it the summer after that.
Okay, cool.
So now it's full.
So, I mean, starting out in IT, from psychology or whatever it was before.
Whatever. I mean, I barely started it.
And so I like the idea that a lot of people, it's always changing and it's always new, and people are always excited about things like that. Did it spark, excitement in yourself for, technology? And
yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm really interested in cybersecurity specifically, and hacking and protecting data. I love data analysis. I mean, that's the truth of it all. When you get the data, people can bullshit. That's why I like it a lot, because it's kind of like comedy in a way. This might be a stretch. Lame. Well, it's like parallel.
Lives,
But I like it because I feel like with data, it's the truth. Like you can't, everyone likes to bullshit all the time, but when it comes down to it, the truth is what matters, which is how I'm trying to relate it to comedy.
Yeah, I got it.
But you know what I mean? Like, especially working for a big corporation, there's so much bullshit. It's insane. Right. So I like being the person that's like, no, here's the data. And that's kind of what my boss told me to do. He's like, you're going to run this program where, because like cybersecurity, like so many people like to like fudge numbers, especially with cybersecurity, to make it seem like we're more, that their team, because there's a bunch of different teams within it, but like that their team is the best at, protecting this and whatever. But he's like, no, like I want to see the numbers, even if they're bad. It's all about the numbers and the truth. So that's why I like it.
Cool. Yeah. No, that's awesome. So how did you discover the truth about simulation?
Well, my friend Elon Musk.
Right.
Oh man, yeah, no, I've been thinking about simulations for like a couple months now, also forever. I don't know.
Well, I mean, what I was gonna say is like, the first time the idea was even introduced to me, it kind of relates to technology, is because I was like, it's probably like 10 years ago, I was hanging out with one of my close friends, and I'm like 15 or something, and you're just looking up at the stars, stoned as hell or whatever. And
my favorite pastime.
Yeah, and you're just angsty and depressed. It's awesome. And my friend's like, yeah, in like 30 years, like they're gonna be able to create high fidelity simulations that like The Sims, but just like real. And the fact that we know that that's gonna happen in like 30 years, like they've kind of proven that it could progress to that point based on our trajectory currently.
Acceleration.
Yeah, and the rate of acceleration and how it's exponentially increasing. And he's like, that means that there's a very, very likely possibility that we're living in a simulation right now. And I was 15 years old, and I was like still struggling with my Catholicism or whatever. And
Is God a computer programmer?
and I was like, no, dude. I was like, no way. And he's just like, yeah, man. And I'm just like, well, shit. Like, I don't know how to dispute that.
Yeah.
And then that was kind of the beginning of a big rabbit hole for me. I don't know.
Wow, 15.
Yeah. I mean, and then of course.
How long ago was that? A couple years?
Chill out, bro. It was like probably 7-8 years ago. But yeah, when did you kind of like first? Was it recently? I mean, again, because like Elon Musk was like a thing in 2016. You know what I mean? Like he's been around for a while. The idea is not new per se.
Yeah.
When did you first?
I've always been interested in this kind of stuff. I was obsessed with The Sims when I was a kid.
Well, that's what. Yeah, it's literally Sims, like simulations. Which is crazy.
I was I had the cheat codes and stuff where you get all the money. Rosebud, whatever. Do you remember that one?
I never played.
Oh, you never played it?
Yeah, but
I lost way too much time playing that as a kid. I don't know why I was so obsessed with it.
Army Batar. Glory.
Shaka-fimi dune.
I remember one day just being like, "This is weird. You need to stop." And I just I just stopped.
You know what's worse than losing all your time playing it? I would just watch my cousin play it.
Oh.
So I had nothing
Was he
else
good?
to do.
I don't even remember what it's like to be good at playing The Sims.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if there's like a point to the.
Yeah, I don't remember.
The game? I guess you're supposed to try to build a family, maybe?
I remember liking the houses elements of it. Like, I really
Right.
liked building houses and backyards, and, like, I was kind of annoyed by the whole, like, oh, they have to pee, bring them to the bathroom. Like, I was, like, annoyed by that. I was
the
more...
realistic aspects
Yeah, life, yeah. No, I just wanted to, like, build shit and build neighborhoods and...
Yeah, no, but if you think about it, though, so what I kind of wanted to talk about is, like, that honestly, like, The Sims is, like, a perfect idea of probably what is happening to us. People are just, like, building houses through, looking at us like that, right?
So crazy.
But do they have cheat codes like you were using?
Or are they hacking into us?
Yeah, well, and also, so, like, is it, like, a Sims type of game? Or is it more like a GTA type of game? You know what I mean? Or because there's plenty of realistic games that are coming out nowadays.
Yeah.
And how they're created and like what is the intention? You know what I mean? So for like, obviously I don't think we know yet. Maybe the intention for our world is just chaos. Is just to create chaos. I don't know. But it's
yeah. And the most believable one I've heard is that it's a simulation to try to solve bigger problems that happen, like big, the world's not always going to be here. Obviously, the sun is going to explode and shit, and other stuff is going to happen before. But like the simulations are like, oh, what if like climate change happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? And so it's running a simulation of how would that go down.
By creating like a society. So, and that's my other question is, do you think people running the simulation are similar to us?
Right. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's hard to tell. I don't know. I was thinking about that because I'm like, I don't really feel like anyone's necessarily playing my character, if you know what I mean. I used to think that because I used to feel so out of control in my life. Like I was like, and I used to yell and be like, fuck you, simulator. Like if things happen to me, I'm just like, fuck off. Like let me live my life. Like just like random shit happening to me. But lately I'm like, oh, I was just younger. Like now that I'm older, I think I'm much older than you, but you start to feel more control. I mean, when your brain stops developing at age 26, 27, you're just kind of like, okay. But at the same time, is that a computer program? I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's been studies done on the brain to recognize that there's so much more data processing that happens in our brains than we actually realize, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, then we actually even comprehend realistically through our senses and, thoughts. And so it begs the question is, like, what is being processed through our brains? You know what I mean? Is there another force or something controlling us that's... I mean, and that's why I don't know necessarily if I believe... I just don't get too much into the simulation topic because it seems kind of... irrelevant when you look, because it could be a simulation, but to us, there's a quote from the Truman Show: "You accept the reality with which you're presented." Right? We can get into the Truman Show. That's a whole simulation itself. But it's more about, for me, it's like the subconscious and how the psychology behind if we are in control, if we do have free will, and kind of how to manage and recognize the patterns that it creates for us in general.
And everyone does have patterns.
Yeah, exactly.
Flat out. Like, everyone has patterns. And Oh man, it's so hard. There's so many thoughts running around my head. Because I was just thinking back to something I was reading earlier today about watching Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about it.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay.
Degrassi. That's the
Like
show,
the show.
with Drake where he's in a
It's funnier to
wheelchair and
say.
gets a boner. Anyways,
Gets a boner.
he does.
Just always as a boner.
Yeah.
Wheeling and boning.
Anyways, I love Neil deGrasse Tyson though.
Yeah.
He's one of my. I've watched
He's
like
alright.
all 3 seasons. He's alright.
I don't know. There's something I watched once where he was like sexist-ish, and it always turns me off to people. But
I mean, fair enough.
I don't know. It's most famous men are sexist at one point.
True.
So he was saying how at one point we might get to the place where all of the brain synapses can be simulated. Like once we finally can map the brain and create all of the thoughts and patterns and kind of display them, then what's the difference between that and living? But it all does come down to consciousness, though. Like, what is consciousness?
Right.
Which I want to talk about lucid dreaming, but we can...
For sure. Well, and I
have
think dreaming is another form of simulation.
Right. Yes. I had that thought this morning. Same wavelength.
Yeah.
We ran by the same simulator.
Probably.
Same video game.
That's what, I mean, whenever I have conversations, originally, like, again, so there was that period when I was like 15, 16, right? But then probably around 17 or 18, I kind of started diving into more philosophical ideas about life and things like that. And, again, I get more into the philosophy of things and, psychology. But when I connect with somebody on that wavelength, it's like, something is like happening right here. You know what I mean?
And I feel like the more I'm aware of it, the more it happens. It's really crazy. Like in the past year or so after COVID, I did a lot of self-reflection during COVID, which sounds lame.
No,
but
it's amazing.
I'm glad I did it because I'm a much better person now.
Right.
And yeah, I feel like once I notice like, different people are kind of on different wavelengths, and it might just be what people care about. Like if you care about philosophy and questioning the world, then, you're on this wavelength. If you're not, I don't even know if wavelength is the right term, but you know what I mean? But now that I'm aware of that, I can like kind of spot those people and hang out with them, over someone who's worried about how many Instagram likes they got.
Yeah.
No offense to 75% of your listeners.
No, and again, it's not that they value, like we value, philosophy and they value Instagram likes. You know what I mean? They have different values. It's a different thing. But anyways, I think a solid word, for the wavelength it's interesting because wavelength is almost, it's in that same sense, it's weird to say, but the term like vibe, the same vibe, because vibe is short for vibration, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I've learned from, my experience in philosophy in general, but also it kind of does dive into the science of everything, and simulation theory and quantum physics. I don't know if you get out into the quantum stuff at all.
Yep.
But in the end, it's all vibration. It's all energy. Yeah. It's basically what it comes down to.
Wave or particle.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Wave or particle. But it's been proven that it can go either way. There's things that
or
are...
both at the same time.
Yeah, both at the same time, right? So, stating that you're on the same wavelength is stating that you're on the same vibration. Like everything has a different vibration. Different brains have different vibrations, things like that. So again, the fact that we're on the same wavelength, does that mean we're run
by the same kind of code?
Yeah, exactly.
We got the same. Yeah, I mean, learning code is trippy as hell because there's like when you're writing a script, there's objects, which are like ways that the program, what you use to tell the program what to do, essentially. So it's like if we are all a simulation and you have code overlap and you use the same objects, which means imagine like a dictionary. Like each program kind of has its own dictionary, but within the program you can have 2 other programs that they use the same dictionary. I don't know. I'm just going off right now.
No, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Also, before I forget though, there's a movie that talks about exactly what you're saying. It's called Frequency. And
frequency is another word, for it.
Yeah, and it's essentially the plot of the movie is that they learned how to measure someone's frequency, and that's basically like their kind of smartness, for lack of a better term. I'm not smart enough to know the word to describe smartness. Intelligence. There we go. Yeah, so it's a way to balance that, and then there's separate schools. So like people of a certain high frequency go to one school, and the other one people don't go.
Oh, wow.
And then there's like a love story where the one guy has a lower frequency, and every time he wants to be with a girl, the whole world starts going crazy because they're 2 separate frequencies. Like she's really high and he's on the lower side, but they're in love, and so the world starts falling apart every time they get there. It's really lame, but the concept is cool.
Yeah, well, you'd like to think that if people are smart enough, intelligent enough to figure out frequencies, then they should be able to show that different frequencies, actually sometimes complement each other. But it's an interesting. I don't think I'll ever watch it because the love part just sounds awful to me, and it sounds like they made it.
They ruined a perfectly fine concept by throwing in love.
Anyways, but yeah, so the dream aspect of it. There's this film actually talked about with the car from the last episode that I watched recently called...
I just listened to that on the car ride here.
Right, it's interesting, right?
I don't remember what movie you said.
Waking Life.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was 2001. But in that, it's called Waking Life, right? And again, it's like a series of podcasts, kind of. It's different conversations with different people, but it's one... It follows one character, and he finds himself in all these conversations, like, sporadically. And you find out that he takes this view where it's almost... They dip into simulation theory a little bit, but they relate it more, again, into the idea of dreams. Like, reality is just a dream, because this is something that I did want to bring up with you. DMT... the drug that people do to escape the world. And I wish I could do it. That'd be amazing, but I can't. But DMT is also a chemical created in the brain, right?
Right, yeah.
During sleep, but also when you die, you get like an excess pump of it.
Leaks out, yep.
Yeah, for like 8 minutes or something like that. But they talk about in that is enough to literally create such high fidelity simulations and synapses that happen in your brain to the point where it could, again, this could be right now. They almost relate it in a way to, what's that called when you die and you come back to life? Reincarnation.
Oh.
Reincarnation, basically. They say that's kind of a different take on reincarnation because your brain literally creates another whole life in your mind.
For you to go live, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
that makes sense to me.
Right, but in a sense, it's also still a dream,
But what's the difference between dream and reality? Have you ever lucid dreamed?
I actually have a joke about lucid dreaming a bit, but it's because I tried heroin while I was lucid dreaming one time, which was fun. But yeah, it's I think I started keeping a dream journal when I was 14 years old, I think, maybe 15, but then my dreams just... Before they were like actually interesting, I feel like, and now they're just kind of like boring day-to-day things.
Oh, mine are fucking insane still. It's
really
exhausting. Yeah, I got chased by some ninjas last night.
Oh yeah, you need to start working out.
Jesus Christ, yeah, it motivated me. Yeah, I've lucid dreamed to the point where it was insane. Like it was like I was fully there. I felt everything. I had the same thoughts. I was fully present. Like it doesn't last very long when I do it, but.
Well, that's what happens in waking life. Is basically he finds out that he just keeps waking up in these dreams, and in the dreams, like it's cool. It's like a cool realization to have because he could I can do anything.
Yeah.
But then he finds out he's like, well, what's the difference between this and like my real life? Like, how do I?
Real life is shittier.
Yeah. Or again. So I mean, I guess it's called waking life, right? So it's like waking up but still in a dream in a way.
Life could be a dream. Life could be a dream.
So yeah,
I've had some. Once I got to that point, I feel like it wasn't even that long ago. Like maybe 2 or so years ago, after lucid dreaming enough and just reading enough stuff and whatever, I was just like, oh yeah, I really can do whatever I want if I put my mind to it. As long as you're like cool with people and you are smart, you don't put yourself in dangerous situations, you don't waste your time, you try to use your time more carefully. Like you can really, it might take a bit, but you can get, I don't know, it really depends. Mm-hmm. You want to hear a crazy lucid dream story real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I had a complete mental breakdown after having this dream. I was 23, living in Austin, shortly after I started stand-up. Maybe that's part of why I opened up a bunch of doors. Yeah. I had a dream where I was lucid and I was on a train and something like came and like crashed the train. It felt kind of like a mini plane flew into the train. I don't really know exactly what happened.
Oh, really?
It was crazy, yeah. And so the train was like kind of falling apart and everything. And I had felt that urge of you need to wake up, like, fuck this, it's a dream. Mm-hmm. But there was a little girl there and there was like the other people were kind of like, I can't remember to this day. I wrote about it and I said that the people disappeared. I still don't know if that's fully what happened, but everyone was like, either they disappeared or they like weren't really around. I mean, in the dream, a train crashed, so everyone's freaking out. There's this little girl who was like scared to death, and it was like her parents had like either were injured or like away or something, and she was like standing there crying. And I was like, I can't, like, it felt so real that I was like, if I wake up, I'm abandoning this like little girl in this crazy situation that just happened. And I'm actually good in emergencies, so I was like, I should stay here and help everyone. I have a very natural instinct when it comes to emergencies.
And worst case scenario, you just wake up.
Right, well, that's what I thought, but then it was like this weird moment where it was like my consciousness split. That's the only way I can describe it. It was like I had two different versions of my own brain, like, communicating with each other, and like the one version or whatever was like, you gotta wake up, like, now is the time, you don't want to get like stuck here, like, we gotta wake up. And the other part of me is like, well, I can't leave, like, this just happened, I need to help people. And it felt so fucking real that I guess, yeah, this part of me was like arguing. And then the other part of me is like, well, what the like, it felt like I was like gonna miss a window to like wake up. Like, it felt really weird. It was so crazy.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so I was like, so the other part of me was like, well, I gotta wake up. Like, I'm not gonna like miss this window. And what do I go in a coma? Like, I don't know what's happening. So I woke up, and I had like a little bit of an argument of like my two, everyone's gonna think I'm insane now, my two consciousness version. And the one was like, oh, you're just gonna leave me? And it was like, well, yeah, like, what else am I supposed to do? And it was like, but I wrote a short story on it, and I want to write a whole book on it. But anyway, yeah, and then I woke up, and like, it was like the craziest feeling of like, I felt like I lost like a part of myself, like I just like abandoned, and it was like, bye.
Oh, man, especially after like such a real feeling that you had there.
It was such a real
you
feeling.
Wake up, yeah. What I think is, I mean, it probably was like a certain part of you in there that was like debating that, but I mean, because I want to relate it to, it's not insane for people to have arguments with themselves. I'm conflicted all the time, I don't want to work out, but fucking you gotta work out, bro. I was like, yeah, but do I have to? And it's like, yeah, you should probably. But anyways,
yeah.
But it's like, you don't want to leave these fake people behind.
I know, yeah.
But it's also probably, I don't know how long ago you had that dream.
5-ish years ago now.
Okay, so you weren't toying with the idea of the simulation as much back then.
And that made me like think something's up. Mm-hmm. Like, it felt so fucking real. Right. And I felt so guilty for a long time. I was like, I just left myself in a dream. Like, I don't. And I've seen Inception. Like, I don't know. Dreams feel so real to me too. Like, I've had dreams where I've like had babies and shit, and like I wake up and I'm like, okay, did I just like abandon these babies? I don't know. All right, I sound insane now. No. Dreaming is wild. So
kind of getting back into simulations though. So like how much does that play into your thought process nowadays, especially so I guess what kind of grabbed you? Because obviously, again, like I said, we've all like thought about the idea of the simulation before, but what grabbed you recently that, took you down a rabbit hole?
Oh, just watching a bunch of stuff about it. I mean, I've heard a lot of arguments recently, like, for the fact that we're living in a simulation. Basically, if we have the, computer power to do it, it now becomes like 1 in a billion chance that we're actually in base reality, because once we have the computing power to make a simulation, that means that within the simulation, like that Rick and Morty episode, like there could be simulations within the simulations. Mm-hmm. So if you make 10 simulations and then they all eventually make their own simulations and it goes down and down and down, like then it becomes like a 1 in trillion chance that you're actually in a simulation. But the most recent argument from Neil deGrasse Tyson, deGrasse, he said that until we can make a realistic simulation, it's a 50-50 chance. But once we can do that, then it becomes like very rare or low chance that we're in that. So yeah, I just been thinking about that. I mean, I definitely feel like something's up, and that's why I kind of been like investigating all these different theories. I mean, multiple realities layered on each other, that kind of stuff, multiverse. I just bought a book on that last night. Yeah, it just feels like something's up, and especially with the dream stuff, it just feels really trippy. Mm-hmm. Mushrooms, like
psychedelics, DMT, like we were talking about,
Oh yeah, I've read countless DMT stories. I've never done it, but that sounds insane, especially with the whole people seeing the same things when they're on their trips. Right.
Well, and so people seeing a lot of the same things, or like noticing. Have you ever noticed? So I actually, brought some receipts, but there was a tweet that was popular a while ago on Twitter. And there's a few, like, it happens every once in a while, but it's the idea of, like, coincidences, basically, you know what I mean, and how that plays into everything. But somebody tweeted one time, it was like, am I the only one who's never seen neighbors bringing in groceries? And that tweet, like, blew up, because everyone's like, it's like the stupidest thing, but everyone's like, yo, wait a minute.
That's hilarious. There was one I saw recently that was, it wasn't a tweet, it was a Reddit thread where a girl was saying every time she left her apartment, she tracked, like, she would look around and, like, see what happens. She'd be like, 3 cars would drive by, like, 4 people would walk their dogs, this would happen, and it would all happen for, like, 7 minutes, and then things calmed down, and she, like, I mean, it's Reddit, who knows if it's real, but she was saying she, like, tracks it, and I keep meaning to do that, but I always forget. I just, like, try to count, like, how many cars, but yeah, she was, like, saying she tracked everything, and, like, everything that happened when she left her apartment, it was always, like, the same, like, these many people walk their dogs.
Yeah, well, and so, it's funny, I was looking at Reddit for this topic as well, and the subreddit is called, like, Simulation Theory.
Yeah,
They actually locked it, like, they closed, it's no longer an active subreddit anymore. And the moderator of the subreddit made a post. It was like, this sub is locked from here on out because, you know, there's too many people that are obviously just having psychotic breaks.
Oh no!
And it's becoming very, like, he got a message from somebody that was like, can you prove that this isn't a simulation, or else I'm gonna kill myself, basically.
Yeah.
And so it kind of, like, went off the deep end, and that's another tricky part of the whole topic, is that it's very you know, it can become obsessive. You know,
yeah, and I feel like that's why if we are in a simulation and some people know, they wouldn't tell the whole general public because no one could handle it.
Right.
Have you been to Glitch in the Matrix?
No.
That's a good. Oh my god, I've been looking at that Reddit thread. I haven't in a while, but I used to be obsessed with that one.
Oh really?
It was good. It was just like weird things that happen, which I've had a couple of those. Like just weird, like the Matrix breaking kind of situations. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, no, it's fun. But there was this one theory that I read, but it was this simulation theory, and it says, given the following highly likely propositions. 1, human technology will advance to the point that it's capable of running high-fidelity simulations. 2, the business model of these simulations will be advertising because subscription models don't work. And 3, simulations will greatly outnumber genuine humans since they are cheap to run. It follows that you are probably a lifestyle brand installed in this world to influence the buying choices of the genuine humans.
Wait.
Everybody's just.
How could you? Wait. What do they mean by some people are robots? Is that what they're saying? Or?
Yeah, basically. So there's like, it's basically if you look at it as if it's a video game, right? Yeah. So maybe say there's like, you know, 1,000 people that own the game. They're playing it. The rest of the entire world has to be populated around them.
Like, yeah, what is it?
NPCs. Yeah, non-playable characters.
I'm definitely not one.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then,
I know you're repping Nike right now. Did they?
Yeah, I know. I'm definitely like a Nike advertisement. Before I got this sweatshirt was when I actually had this idea, and I saw that, and I was like, I just wear like plain clothes all the time. I could be a real person.
Yeah.
But then again, if you were a real person, you probably would be susceptible to the advertisements, so you would.
Yeah.
But that's why I don't know. I want to write a bit about it. I haven't yet, but I want to. Like, I just see everybody as advertisements for the most part. I'm like, oh, you're this lifestyle brand. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think that's already happening with Instagram feeds and Facebook feeds. Like, you know, all the AI algorithms figure out what you are and what you want to be, and then they input themselves into it.
Yeah. The trajectory of that is tricky, though.
Scary.
Because at some point, they're going to start just assuming what we want as opposed to, like, collecting data and being like, oh, this is what they want. They're going to be like, oh, we know this person well enough to know what they want now, and then just control the rest of your life. But it's fine. We don't have to, like, talk about it, you know?
We'll just let it be. Yeah, I don't know. I hate ads. Like, I don't ever watch them.
Like a rock. I drive a Chevy, I'm a cowboy, and I drive it like a rock.
What the hell is that?
Tom, it looks like a pop-up ad.
How did an ad get in here? Let's go to David at the Network Hub.
Let me see what else I have on my notes.
Okay.
Have you seen the Elon Musk talking about it?
I have not. I don't respect Elon Musk yet. But, I mean, you can...
He's an idiot.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying he's an idiot. He's a very intelligent person. Yeah. If you want to talk about
he was just saying, I mean, kind of what we already talked about, the whole rate of improvement. Like, we had Pong 40 years ago. Now we have photorealistic video games that millions of people are playing all at the same time. Yeah. And the odds of base reality 1 in a billion, civilization. Oh yeah, he was saying either we get to the point where we can make realistic simulations, and if we don't, that probably means we got extinct. So we should actually hope that we're. He's so dark. But he's saying basically, like, if the rate of acceleration stops and we don't make a realistic simulation, then that means something happened. So
Interesting.
And yeah, I wrote stuff about Rick and Morty, Facebook Metaverse.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of
Jesus.
where I was, to like kind of get into the final portion of the topic is where it's kind of creeping into our society already, like with the VR headsets and everything.
So crazy.
It's kind of a lot, and there's a whole metaverse now. And I was talking about this with somebody the other day, like the NFTs and like crypto and things like that.
What's NFT again?
So it's a non-fungible token. I don't know much about it, to be honest, but it's basically like property that you own within the metaverse. And it's like, well, why wouldn't you just own it in the real verse, right?
Yeah.
In the real verse.
Reality verse.
The reality verse, the universe.
Oh my god, that hurts my brain.
I know, but
We're already too far now. The reality is its own.
I know, it's crazy. And I'd love to hear what you have more to say about it. But I also read this book when I was in like 6th grade. It's like the Pendragon series that nobody else read.
That sounds familiar, but
Yeah, it was like one kid in any
wait, the
class.
Aragon ones or no?
No,
Okay.
It was Pendragon. Yeah,
Pendragon.
it was again. I think I don't think I've met anybody that's read those books besides me. But it was like a big series, so there must be some other people, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, but there was one. He like
Unless
traveled.
it was made specifically for you.
Exactly.
Advertising.
It could be for my simulation to see if I'm a specific type of character or something. But they visit this world where he's like, everything is like desolate. Like the buildings, it looked like there was a high tech society here. It's kind of crumbling. And he's like, where is everybody? And there's this big pyramid in the middle of the city. And he's like, oh well, I guess this is where I'll head. And he goes into the pyramid and he walks in. And he sees that, like, it's literally rows and rows of people just in simulations living out their wildest dreams.
Oh, like
and
sitting in
things.
a...
Yeah, and they have feeding tubes and shit. And
Like the Matrix.
yeah, basically, pretty much. But they're not even using the energy for anything. Like, it's not going towards the world or, like, generating resources or power. It's literally just them sitting in there deteriorating away because nobody wants to live in reality when they have that...
Like Ready Player One.
Yeah, exactly.
You read that?
I have not, but I know the concept.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I mean, people don't like to live in reality now. You see people walk down, especially kids. Like, I have a 10-year-old sister, and she is hooked on the iPad, and she was playing Roblox. And they were like, they have their little characters in there, and she's obsessed with Minecraft, and it's just like, yeah, that's how she hangs out with her friends, is they get into Roblox and they have their avatars and they do, and she's like, oh, we went on this adventure here, and I'm like, did you go outside? And she's like, no, I sat on the couch for 7 hours. And like kids too, like they're in denial about it. Like they don't see that being hooked on their iPad is like a bad thing, or that it's like, no, I guess it doesn't have to always be bad, but like they don't see it, they see it as normal now of like, oh, wake up, log in. Like they see that as normal. So I could just imagine as generations go on,
it's just going to be...
Especially with like, and I feel like that's part of why climate change is so bad, is because no one gives a fuck about the outdoors anymore. Like they're like, oh, okay, a bunch of trees burned down, there's flash flooding, that's fine as long as my bedroom is fine because I can put on my headset and then, yeah, what's this metaverse? Is it... I didn't have enough time to research it much, but I'm assuming from what I've heard that they take all of your information from Facebook and Instagram and then they make your life already?
I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't looked into it too much either.
Yeah.
But it's definitely intense. It's definitely scary. But I would like to... These conversations often get very dark and depressing, but I would like to offer a different solution or a different view that's a little bit more optimistic on the whole thing, because it's like, yeah, I think these kids are becoming very involved in these simulations basically, and I think the world is in general. But I would like to think after COVID especially, but any other major events that will happen or do happen, kind of drive people to see the reality that we live in. And I think I was talking about with this Akash a little bit, but he was talking about how people are obsessed with their phones all the time and their attention spans are shorter. And I would agree, but I want to give people the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe it drove half of people more towards the metaverse, but I think the other like you
Oh
just
yeah.
yeah you
I
told
was gonna say you just said that, but I mean I
Yeah.
listened to it as I drove.
yeah, but I mean you said it earlier. Is like through the pandemic you did a lot of self-reflection, and so I'd like to think that it made a good amount of people better too
Yeah.
in moving more towards a different direction. And another thing you said during this conversation was that the idea behind running the simulations is to see what we can withstand and what how we would react as a society, and say we come up with those simulations and we run the same. We use it as a tool to help us, and all this technology and metaverse and all that crap. We use that as a tool to help us instead of getting too consumed in it.
I hope so, but
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people want to help the world.
Right.
Also, real quick, shout out to Jake, because him and I talked for like 2 hours one night after an open mic about simulations, and he was saying that it's a good way to think because it kind of means that if we are in a simulation and you believe it, like it kind of makes it easier to like live life.
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily agree. I mean, I guess that's a positive way to. He was more positive about it. He was
Right.
like, yeah, like if it is a simulation, whatever. Then it doesn't really matter.
It's like
keep
the
living.
dream.
You
Yeah.
can't really change it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy because it's like, what is real? But what is real?
But what is real? Again, Kosh is like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. What is this? How did I get where I am?
Yeah, exactly.
Why am I in a random guy's bedroom? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my god, there's something else, that I wanted to say. Oh, what do you think of like, because I was talking about this at a party the other day, of your higher self playing you. Like you get, have you watch Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
Have you seen the when Morty plays
Yeah.
himself in the video game?
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. I would believe that, of like your higher self is like nostalgic, and so you play a simulation of yourself like either when you were younger or in a different life, and that's kind of what dreaming is you're like playing a version of yourself in a completely different life.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, that's
possibility.
interesting. Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I don't know. If I believed in that idea, then I'd be really
mad at yourself.
Yeah, disappointed at my higher
Why'd you
self.
let me bomb again?
Yeah, or just making dumb decisions and things like that.
Also, I was thinking about like if some people are like told that it's a simulation, that they can like hack into your simulation and fuck your life up.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
like
a
that
possibility.
concept.
I
Like
don't
you make
that
an enemy and then they
concept.
like get outside of it somehow, and then they're like, ooh, I'm gonna.
Well, that's basically what happens in that book, where like it's the big pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
There's like an outside factor that starts like affecting everybody's simulation to where it isn't going how they wanted it to go,
Oh,
basically,
yeah.
and has nefarious fucking energy about it. And yeah, it's
Maybe I'll read them.
Probably
Is it
not.
Pen,
It's like
Pendragon?
13.
Are there dragons in it?
there's no dragons. His
What?
name is Bobby Pendragon.
It sounds so familiar.
Yeah.
I was really into sci-fi and fantasy. Still am.
Right. Well, maybe you would like it then, but it's like 13 books. But
Oh damn.
yeah, it's a lot. But I was a big nerd back then, and I had nothing else to do. I didn't have any friends. We're comics. We
No
don't have
friends.
friends. Yeah.
Very true.
But yeah, sad reality that we're living in. But it's also exciting because it means that nothing is real, and
Nothing really
you
matters.
can kind of do what you want to do. And that's again why
as
I
long
personally.
as you're a good person.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, that's why I personally like the psychology and philosophy aspect of it more, because even if it's not real, if it doesn't matter, things matter to us, and that's kind of where the consciousness kind of plays into it a little bit. And again, even if you don't have control over things that you do have judgments about them. You have opinions about yourself and about others. And you have feelings, which is a big.
Those are crazy.
Yeah,
What's
those
to do
are
with
weird.
those? What are they?
Wait, you have
Where
feelings?
did they come from? I don't get them. I don't know if I like them.
Right. I've been rewatching It's Always Sunny, and he like goes to church. He's like, I've been trying to feel again. Do you have anything for feelings? And then there's like Dr.
that
Jinx, and he starts playing the bass for him. But anyways, the point being is, again, if it doesn't matter, focus on what does matter to us, because things do matter to us.
Yeah.
And I think that's
That's
important.
all we can do.
Yeah, it's really all we can do. Like Lipinski said, if it doesn't matter, it's like you still got to do it and keep moving forward.
Yeah, and I like the idea of like once you kind of realize that the stupid bullshit doesn't matter, then you can kind of like build your life like it's a game. That's kind of what I'm doing. I'm like trying to pick and choose what I like and what I want to have in my life, because I used to be a very big like people pleaser, and kind of like I would do what other people did and what I thought other people wanted to do, like, and because I don't really do that kind of stuff anymore of like, let's go shopping, let's go out to dinner, like all that kind of stuff. I was kind of I'm not judging people who do that.
Right.
But now I'm like, oh no, I'd rather like go to a mic or read a book or whatever.
You know yourself a little bit and your values a little
Exactly.
bit. Just because you value going out to dinner, it doesn't mean who am I to judge?
Right. Yeah.
You know,
what you enjoy doing.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just saying that I used to kind of like try to fit into the mold of like what other people would do just because I desperately wanted friends, which never works.
Yeah.
When you really want friends, it's harder. No,
right.
I do.
Well, it's funny. I was actually talking about this with George last night, but it was like the comic scene is so interesting to me because before I got here and started doing it, throughout high school and throughout college, you realize that there's those cliques and those things that people conform to be involved in a certain fraternity or, you know, a certain kind of brotherhood or group of people. And so it's like coming out to comedy is like, is it going to be like that? Am I going to try to conform to them?
Yeah.
But it's funny because I feel like all the comics are the same way where they're like, no, we came out here to not conform to anybody. So we kind of do it together, and in a way it is a group, but it's also just very supportive, and everybody's just like, yeah, be yourself, dude. Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I like it. Yeah, you can just be yourself, try stuff. Although people have said that we're cliquey.
Yeah, and I mean, there are like certain situations, and I mean, you know, that's a different conversation. But again, I feel more, like I said, I don't feel the same pressure I would feel there as I have in previous experiences.
With normies?
Yeah, with normies. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Also, for the record, I do like going out to dinner. So if anyone wants to ask me out to dinner, I didn't mean it when I said that earlier.
Okay. Well, I think that's
throw that in.
Okay. Well, that's.
Wait, I want to check my notes. That's not sad.
That's not really sad.
Fuck you. What else? Wait, I just want to make sure I got everything. Although this is your podcast, I shouldn't be controlling stuff.
No, it's your podcast.
The Nick Bostrom thing. Do you know who he is? He's a philosopher. Recreating. He was the one who talked about like recreating the neurosynaptic thoughts and the perception of free will. So basically, like the idea that if you can program a brain or match a brain, you can give them the concept of free will in a simulation. So basically, everything we said doesn't matter. Yeah. There's free will, but it could also be programmed. Yeah. And he was saying if we can't travel, they were saying like the fact that we can't travel past the speed of light seems like a programming limit. Because like in a program you can
That's interesting. Yeah, that is a good point.
And then the simulator makes their own simulation. I already said that. Yeah, I think I said most of this. What was that? Memorizing on days before simulation. Reminiscing. Yeah, they were saying like this is what my boy Neil said. Semi-sexist Neil.
Semi-sexist Neil.
He was saying how with movies, most movies now aren't really, they're more about current times than older times, mostly. And so if there's a simulation, if we start doing simulations, it would make sense that it would be that the simulation, if we're in one, that it would be in the era of simulations, because people are more likely, if there's any, thing to show for what kind of movies everyone watches, then it's more like it makes sense that we would be in a simulation at the time where simulations are becoming a thing. That
makes sense. Like cultural reflection, like art reflects life and life reflects art.
Yeah, and how there's not a lot of movies of like Egyptian times. Like there are, but it's like
there should be more. I think
there should be a lot more,
because I think the Egyptian,
all that stuff would be cool. But no one likes to go far back before. Like I feel like movies nowadays, the period pieces don't go much earlier than like the 20s, or like 30s.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is when was that when TV started to come out, or when did movies come? Movies were like 30s, 40s, right?
Yeah.
The first movies?
Kind of. There was a big pump after World War II, after the economy started booming again. There was a big era around that period, I think. I don't know too much about it, but that's just something I think.
I thought you wrote scripts.
I did. I actually, if you had asked me that question maybe like last year, then I probably would have known the answer, but I don't know it anymore. Actually, even the beginning of this year. Anyways. All right. Well, cool. Thank you so much for coming out here and letting us literally just shit out of our faces about.
Yep. Now everyone's going to think I'm insane. I can't wait.
It's okay.
If anyone listens. I'll plug it.
That's okay. Excited. I'm insane with you as well. I think most of us are insane. So that's
you got to be to go on stage in front of strangers.
Anyways, anything shows to plug, podcasts or
Now Roasting. Follow on Instagram @NowRoasting, monthly roast show where we get one Philly comic getting roasted by 6 to 8 people, depending on if anyone drops. But it's a really good time. And then, yeah, I don't know. I'm on a show the 1st of December, St. Stephen's Green. And I'm hosting something at Jose Pistola's, like a queer and people of color show. It was the 17th.
So I'm not welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Only black people or gay people. So you can either do blackface or go gay for a night.
Well,
pick your poison.
I know which one I would choose. Anyways,
I'm curious which one you would rather do if
it
all came down to it.
Yeah. Right.
Would you rather?
All right. Well, thank you so much, Brittany.
Thank you for having me.
Did you make it? Are you alive? Are we here? I don't know. As you can tell, none of this is real. Anyways, thanks for listening. Follow Brandergram. Follow NowRoasting. Check her out. Come see us. 2th Street, South House, Raven. Any shows that I'll never get booked at. Awesome. Thank you so much for listening. I love you. Amen. Okay, bye.
We are all